This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Oh my God!
Welcome, everybody, to episode 81 of the DocNJock Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Adam the Jock Strozinski. Doing this with me, as always, is the one, the only. He is the Doc, John Macaroon. What's up, cuz?
I came to play. There's a price to pay. Time for you to get down on your knees. Say goodbye to the good old days. They're never coming back. Watch your future fade. I came to play. Get my dues paid.
The Miz.
Yes, sir, I came to play, baby. Vince McMahon showed up on WWE Monday Night Raw when all the ratings tanked. I mean, last week, cuz, was rock bottom. Really bad ratings. WWE had to make a move because not only did we trash it, the WWE Universe trashed it, universally panned. Last week's Raw was terrible. And you were like, I think we're being way too negative. I was like, no, dude, it was that bad.
I just felt bad.
It was worthy of the awful reviews and awful ratings that it got. So when that happens, when the ratings are that bad, it sends a signal to upper management, oh boy, these fans are not happy. So the WWE responded. Now, did they do everything correct? No. There are things still to be critical about, but Raw and Smackdown were noticeably better. I was happy. I enjoyed the entire 5 hours. I watched it, and I was thrilled. I was like, okay, this is better. Now, were things still done a little bit herky-jerky? Were there still a couple awful segments that should have never been written or produced? Yes, but I was happy this week. They made adjustments, and it started off great with what Vince McMahon calls the wild card. You were confused by it.
Yeah,
Why? It's awesome.
I just don't like it. I don't. You've been so we're going to discuss the wild card, which makes no sense to me. We're also going to discuss we've got a former WWE and TNA star who's now a mayor in Florida. We've got Brock Lesnar with reasons. This Michigan native is leaving WWE. But let's discuss the wild card and what this is. Okay, so this is Vince McMahon, and this is booking's attempt to boost ratings. And what it means is any WWE star can just show up on Raw or SmackDown and challenge.
With the limitation that the number is 3 currently. But
freaking retarded. like when you say that, when that comes out of your mouth, do you not want to smack yourself in the head?
But bro, what are we asking for? What did you and I say? We got a chance to see Kofi Kingston Monday and Tuesday. We got a chance to see AJ Styles Monday and Tuesday. Daniel Bryan Monday and Tuesday. I think it's great. Why not feature the superstars that you have? I think it's a great idea. I wouldn't have put the limit at 3. I just would have said, you know what? This is WWE, and what makes us awesome is that you never know what's going to happen. And here it is. Boom. Roman Reigns shows up. Boom. AJ Styles shows up. I don't think you had to cap it at 3, but in the end, more than 3 showed up on Raw.
Okay, so this is a television program that is done with suspending disbelief that everything is real, okay? Wrestling is not supposed to be fake. It's supposed to be real. So we have a wild card, but I've got to go get 2 other dudes to come over to SmackDown with me because we want to fight for the same belt. like none of that makes sense. Here, how about this? How about WWE, you just write better storylines?
Yeah.
Honestly, wrestling is really simple when you break it all down. You have a good guy, you have a bad guy. Right? Every now and then there'll be a character who's a little bit gray, but you have a good guy and you have a bad guy. And you both want the same thing. So one guy is going to challenge another guy. There's got to be some type of conflict. So you find that conflict. You just create it. It's what it is, right? You have a belt. I want your belt. Okay, cool. Let's fight. That's really what wrestling is, guys. When we break it all down, that is exactly what wrestling is. That's all it is. Or, hey, there's rankings, and we're contending for a belt because everything revolves around the belts. I'm number 17. You're number 14. Guess what? I want to move up in elevation because I want to get to that belt. I'm going to challenge you because you're ranked higher than me. How about that? I move up, you move down. There we go. That's all it is. That's what wrestling is, man. It's not that hard. They have all these convoluted ass storylines and all this shit that they pump into it that makes it way more difficult than what it needs to be. And you know what I don't like about the wild card? And this is something that we've talked about numerous times. And I'm going to continue to harken back to it because it drives me absolutely nuts. You have these oversaturated and overinflated rosters. So guys don't get enough time. Yet you've got a guy like AJ Styles, who we both agree he is phenomenal for a reason.
Monday, Tuesday, baby. Put him on TV.
He is phenomenal for a reason. You've got a guy like Roman Reigns, who's very good. You've got a guy like Kofi Kingston, who is probably the real MVP of SmackDown at this point. And we discussed, could Kofi carry SmackDown? He's doing a pretty damn good job right now. You have these guys who now have to pull double duty, which breaks their bodies down, which injures them. And next thing you know, you don't have AJ Styles for a four-month period because he tore something, he pulled something, he broke something. That's the problem. WWE does a really bad job giving everybody credible storylines. Instead, you give 2 or 3 guys really good storylines, everybody else has to kind of figure it out on the fly, which sucks because it makes for shitty programming for 5 hours of every week. This is why we all hope for AEW to be something solid. All that being said, we have the wild card. Roman Reigns, Kofi Kingston, Daniel Bryan, they're all there on Raw. I have no idea what the hell's going on. This was banana boats to me.
I'm a genius, aren't I, guys?
Yeah.
I'm a genius. React to me. I'm a genius.
Thanks, Vince. Thanks.
But he stumbled a lot, though. He's getting
He's
old.
like 70-something.
He botched a little
How
bit.
many steroids can this guy take to keep looking that young? Come on, man.
He's starting to look on the side of what you look like when you croak.
At this point, honestly, Vince, go focus on XFL because we're going to talk about the XFL later on in this show. But go focus on XFL. Let Shane, who is feuding with everybody on every roster, take over. Let Stephanie take over. Please give this to Triple H because he actually puts on good quality broadcasting. Just go watch NXT. It's very, very good. We should scrap Raw, scrap SmackDown, and just focus on NXT. We'll give you NXT review every single week. It'd be so much better. We get AJ Styles and Vince in the ring. They're cutting promos. Again, a very stumbly program. Seth decides to show up, and I tweeted. It's very predictable because what I seen happening was AJ wants the belt. Seth has the belt. I'm going to challenge you. Let's get it on right now. No, guys. We can't fight right now because why would you give that away for free? We've got a pay-per-view coming up in a week. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to force you guys to tag team. And guess who you're going to tag team? You're going to tag team against Baron Corbin's mid-card of destruction with Bobby Lashley. So you've got Baron Corbin and Bobby Lashley taking these guys on. Now, I thought that these guys would win, and at some point, they would end up fighting each other because they've got the pay-per-view that they've got to sell. No, not so fast. What ends up happening is Baron Corbin and Bobby Lashley win, which I thought was great because AJ Styles goes for a phenomenal forearm, totally misses, and hits Seth in the head. AJ realized what he did. He's like, you know what? Screw this shit. I'm out of here. I don't need to mess around with this. Guess what? Baron Corbin hits an end of days on Seth Rollins for the pin. This was good. I don't want to say it's awesome. I really wanted to say awesome there for a minute and pull the Miz, but this was good. You got it right, WWE, and I'm going to tell you why you got it right. Okay? So now you create friction between Seth Rollins and AJ Styles. And I think at this point, AJ's going heel. I'm not real sure. They don't want to turn Seth. I'm all sorts confused. So you know what I've got to do? I got to tune in next week. To see what the hell's going to happen with this one thing. I've got to tune in and see. All right? But something else you did. You gave the rub to Baron Corbin and Bobby Lashley. 2 guys who are in dire need of the rub. You gave the rub to 2 guys who need it. You help push them up a little bit. Good job on you, WWE. Now, what do you do next week with it? I don't know. You're probably going to screw it up. You're going to shit on both these guys' chests because that's what you do. But good job on you for getting it right this week. How you screwed this up was you sent AJ over to SmackDown the next night. You didn't need to do that. Why would you do that? Makes absolutely no sense. There's no reason for AJ to contend for the WWE Championship when he's already contending for the Raw Championship. Why would you do that? Makes no sense to me. I love this. I thought this was good. I didn't like what they did on Tuesday night, but on Monday night, in that little window of time, I love this. You love this as well?
100% they did it right because how do you elevate feuds? You have a guy like AJ Styles turn on Seth Rollins, cost him matches. Now, I thought in line, because you were so forceful and boastful online,
I was
via the Flick application where we go and talk wrestling, and via Flick, our great Detroit sports community online there. You can join easily by just going online and finding the invite and signing up real quick. But what you did was,
If you're a wrestling fan, you guys should totally tune in.
yeah, what you did was
join that.
Yeah, what you did was you were like, no, this is going to be predictable. They're going to win. Seth Rollins is going to win with AJ Styles. And I was like, you know what? I think the better option, and I wasn't so much in line with it, I said, you know what? The better option would be to have Baron Corbin and Bobby Lashley win it, and then you could add heat. And then what happened was there was a mistake, and I think AJ Styles goes for the phenomenal forearm and misses, and boom, hits Seth Rollins. And he's so mad and frustrated and furious, he just leaves. And leaving Seth Rollins there to get and take a beating. And I think it's great. That's the best way to do it. And you continue the feud, and I'm all for it. I just think that my biggest complaint was it dragged down too long, damn near 40, 45 minutes. You could have had another tag team match. You could have had, in this day and age of short attention spans, a 45, 50-minute opening segment promo match. Too long.
Yeah, obviously. With as much of a roster as you have in WWE, there are a ton of people you could pair up, and there's a ton of storylines you could go with. And again, my process, you give every guy every other week. It keeps things fresh, keeps everybody brand new. You don't have to worry about guys getting stale. Somebody who was starting to get stale, Sami Zayn, comes out again this week, cuts down the WWE Universe. Where is this going? Nobody knows where this is going. There's only so many times you can tell the WWE Universe that you're sick of them, and that they're horrible, and that they're stupid, right? Only so many times. Well, thank God Braun Strowman shows up to chase Sami Zayn through the entire arena and eventually tosses his ass in the trash. He then gets taken out by a dump truck. I thought this was good. Braun Strowman, though, good guy, bad guy. WWE books him in such a way where it gets very confusing because you're not sure what he's going to be this week. Is he going to be a heel? Is he going to be a face? So I guess now he's a face. Sami Zayn's a heel. I thought this was good. This gives Sami Zayn a little bit of a feud. Now, again, how you screw this up? Sami Zayn shows up on Smackdown to challenge for the WWE Championship. Why? Why would you do that? Why not have Sami Zayn and Braun Strowman continue this? It made no sense to me. Again, I thought this was a misappropriation of a character when you could just build this feud, have this feud going, and have me tune in next week to see what the hell's going on. I don't know. Am I wrong here? Am I an asshole here? Do I think that you don't need these guys to do that? It feels like you're just taking it away from them for this. Like, you did something really good on Monday. Why ruin it on Tuesday?
I agree. I think that in terms of the use of some of the talent, it could be utilized a little bit differently. I'm in line with what you're saying.
All right, so then Roman Reigns ends up defeating Drew McIntyre via DQ.
Their match actually on Raw was better than at Mania.
Yeah, it was a really good match, but Elias and Shane McMahon come out to pounce on Roman just as he's about to secure victory. Why does Shane McMahon have to be feuding with everybody on every roster? Right. You know, I mentioned it earlier. This is kind of where it comes in because he's feuding with The Miz. He's now feuding with Roman Reigns. He's involved with Drew McIntyre in his match. Oh, why? What? How many people? I don't get it. And why would we have Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre? Well, aren't we supposed to have Roman Reigns and Elias feuding? I mean, look, me myself, I would take Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre over Roman Reigns and Elias any day of the week. I just don't know why Shane McMahon has to be integral in everybody's match. Doesn't he have his own thing to worry about with The Miz?
It's interesting how they're utilizing Shane McMahon. I think you and I are both in the camp of less Shane McMahon, better product.
Right. And speaking of better product, I love how you're setting me up for these segues. It's like you're in my head. The main event was very, very good. Kofi Kingston, primetime player. Not sure why he's on Raw, but primetime player. He ends up defeating Daniel Bryan to retain the WWE Championship. Now, this was a WrestleMania rematch that we got here. I'm not sure why we got this here, especially since Daniel Bryan's on SmackDown, Kofi Kingston's on SmackDown. Why are we getting it on Raw? I have no idea. But some real good back and forth early. Bryan caught Kofi with a drop kick out of nowhere and then goes to hit a German suplex for a near fall. He would try for another LeBell lock. Kofi reverses it, hits a Trouble in Paradise, gets the pinfall. This was a solid match. It was a great way to close Raw. I'm not sure why these guys are on Raw. You're SmackDown guys. Why are you on Raw? It makes no sense. Isn't there anybody on the Raw roster that we could promote?
Adam, do you not listen to the announcers? I know they're grating at times. I know sometimes it's irritating to listen to Renee and Mike. And
I like Renee. I think she's good.
it sometimes is a little bit irritating because obviously they're trying to hype up everything, and you can tell what's being fed in their ear because the way it's being delivered. But they did say it was the first WWE title match on television in damn near 3 years. And so who's the guy to do it? You got this champion, Kofi Kingston, use him. It doesn't have to be this brand split. And I think they realize, okay, we got Kofi Kingston. He's hot. Why do we, limit his usage? We're cutting him off 50% of the time on television. Why not utilize the fact that, hey, when Kofi's on, people will text each other. People will say, hey, Kofi Kingston's on TV. Oh my God, it's going to be AJ Styles and Kofi Kingston in a match and Sami Zayn with AJ Styles. Holy cow. It's good. It's good to add a little bit of excitement for those that have been tuning out when you have Kofi Kingston. And it's just a great match all around to have the opportunity when you have, Daniel Bryan and Kofi Kingston renewing their feud and getting AJ Styles in the mix, on SmackDown. It's great. It's all great, I think, to handle it that way.
I want to go back to something. Back when WrestleMania was taking place, going into the Kofi Kingston Daniel Bryan match, you didn't believe that Kofi Kingston was going to be able to carry the title and elevate the brand. He's now on 2 brands, and he elevated both because he played in the main event on both. Do you still feel that way about Kofi Kingston?
I'm fascinated to see what the ratings will look like. Will people have stayed with the program? Because the lead-in was terrible. The biggest regret that I had on Raw was the way they're using the Usos and the Revival. I think that's the worst segment of the week.
Absolutely awful.
They should have erased that, and the segment producer who came up with that idea should be fired as well. And you'll talk about some staff changes that were made this week. I just think that there are things that people are looking for, and what's happening now is people are kind of online, at least. They got a quick trigger. They're looking for something to really attack with WWE. And some people would have said, well, the Bobby Roode match wasn't that good. And the lead-in, it was basically the setup was a real good hour and 45 minutes. And then from like 9:45 to 10:30 was kind of the soft stuff with Lacey Evans basically being the best segment that carried that part of the show. But I'll say this.
And that wasn't even all that good.
Yeah, it was okay. But I'll say this. I'll say that, if the ratings indicate that Kofi Kingston is a draw, then I think you'll see him on both shows every week.
But in your mind, does it change? Has your way of looking at Kofi changed? Or are you still kind of on the fence and apprehensive? It's okay if you are.
I think his matches are good. I just don't see him being the star. No,
okay.
I'm fascinated that they're working on Monday, Tuesday pretty hard right away. But I think a guy like that, they want to see.
Okay,
I think that was a test. It could have been a test backstage to say, hey, can this guy, if we promote him in a main event, will eyes be drawn to him?
Speaking of working Kofi Kingston on Monday and Tuesday, on SmackDown Tuesday night, we open up SmackDown with AJ Styles and Sami Zayn showing up. And again, not sure what the hell's going on with this wild card, but apparently you just show up anytime you want as long as there's 3 of you guys. And in this case, AJ Styles, Sami Zayn show up and challenge Kofi Kingston for a championship match. That's our main event for later on in the night. We'll talk about that here coming up shortly. We also get Jimmy and Jey Uso coming out to challenge Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan for the vacant WWE Tag Team Championship belts. Now, Shane McMahon was just going to hand these over to Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan. Jimmy and Jey show up and say, wait, hold up. We can't do this. What are you doing? You just don't give belts away. And again, not really sure. I guess these guys were the 3 or the 4. I mean, if they're a tag team, does it count as one entity or does it have to be? I don't know. Again, the wild card stipulation, very, very vague, and I'm very confused by it. I still don't understand it, and I had 2 days of it. I'm not really sure. So Usos come over from Raw to challenge Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan, who were just on Raw the night before. It's so confusing. No more superstar shakeup. What the hell is going on? However, we got a great matchup. This was a very good match. A very good matchup. Jimmy and Jey are awesome in the ring. Daniel Bryan's a ring general. Eric Rowan he's a good heavy. He's a good muscle, right? I thought this was a great matchup. In the end, we get new WWE Tag Team Champions with Eric Rowan delivering an Iron Claw to one of the Usos. I get them confused all the time. Gets the pin. I thought this was a solid win. I thought this was solid. You have now saved the WWE SmackDown Tag Championship division.
More
by
interest
putting
is there.
These guys in. Because without the Hardys, you basically had who? The B team. You had the weird team that was in the back. I don't even remember their name anymore. It was Otis and the other guy. And then after that, it was just a bunch of meddling mid
Heavy machinery.
There you go. Thanks. It was a bunch of meddling mid card guys.
Yeah.
It was really nobody. So by putting Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan together as a tag team, you really helped save that division.
No doubt about
it. Which I thought booking on the fly, because you're never prepared for an injury. Booking on the fly, WWE did a very good job here. After that, honestly, I felt like SmackDown was just a bunch of filler. I felt like it was a bunch of weird vignettes, a bunch of promos. Nothing really moved forward until we got to the main event. Agreed?
Solid.
Okay. So main event, I thought was very, very good.
Enjoyable.
It was just like Monday Night Raw. It was very, very good. We ended up getting a triple threat match between Kofi Kingston, Sami Zayn, and AJ Styles. A lot of action between the three. Kevin Owens comes down and provides a little bit of interference, takes out Xavier Woods, who was on the side of the ring. This leads to Sami Zayn then hitting 3 blue thunder bombs on Kofi Kingston. Kofi kicks out of all 3 of these. There was one on the third where Kofi was laid out, and I was like, oh my God, he looks like he's dead. If he was a dog, he would have his tongue out and his eyes would be rolled back in his head, and you would have to hook an IV up to him just to try to revive some life in him. He ends up kicking out of that third one. Kofi ends up in the corner. Sami sets up for the haluva kick, comes running in only to be met with a trouble in paradise. Kofi pins Sami for the win. Kofi Kingston carrying both Raw and SmackDown. I'm telling you, he is a stud, absolute stud. I hope the numbers show it here, and I hope I can bring you over to my side. I thought this was a great match. I didn't really understand what the setup was with SmackDown, but this is what we're doing. Apparently the wild card is a real thing, and I'm expecting more of this crap. I don't necessarily like it. It's what it is. Kofi Kingston's a G, though.
He's an OG, and it was a great match. And I liked, even though they might have gone over just a little bit, where he comes on and he says, look, at Money in the Bank, I'm going to have some fun, and I'm going to take care of Kevin Owens my way, and there's going to be retribution to pay for what he did. Mm-hmm. It was great. I thought all around Kofi Kingston is on his way to becoming maybe a predominant champion and maybe really, really getting over.
All right, which main event did you like better? Did you like Kofi Kingston versus Daniel Bryan, or did you like Kofi Kingston triple threat match versus Sami Zayn, AJ Styles?
Slight edge to Raw. I thought both matches were great. Yes. I always love to see AJ Styles in the match because he can do so many great things, but the way that Kofi Kingston and Daniel Bryan have chemistry and the way they can call a match, it was great.
I'm in lockstep with you. I wasn't sure which way to go. I was leaning more towards Raw over SmackDown. Yep. If you have 10 minutes to watch it, watch something, any type of wrestling, watch the main event from Monday Night Raw. Kofi Kingston, Daniel Bryan, great match. Thought it was outstanding. All right. That being said, I think we're in lockstep here. Raw gets the nod.
Raw gets the nod, baby. Give him the point. Finally, responding positively to a lot of criticisms. Look, even though you may question what and how they're executing this wild card, it was different. It was surprising. It held people's attention. There were a lot of different things. There was a difference about Raw where in weeks past the entire show was pointless. Now maybe 1 or 2 segments where we can be really highly critical. So Raw did a good job. I'm very happy. As it stands now, Raw will have 29, SmackDown 53.5 with a no credit.
That's right. News and notes. Would you like some?
Hit me with this week's professional wrestling news and notes.
So we mentioned the XFL earlier in this podcast. Now the XFL has major news. They have a massive deal to air games on ABC, ESPN, ESPN2, Fox, FS1, and FS2.
Jeez.
That is big time. That is something that the AAF could not secure and ultimately led to part of their downfall. There will be 4 games broadcast each week, 2 apiece on Saturday and on Sunday. The XFL will begin to air its 10-game regular season starting February 8th. So after the NFL is done with their season, they have their inaugural kickoff game, which will be at 2 p.m. on ABC, followed by a 5 p.m. game on Fox. I think this is awesome. It's a different time slot than you're used to. It's across multiple networks. It's 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. I think this is awesome. I think this is really good. I think where they might get hurt a little bit is the Saturday games because you're cutting into, actually there's no college football. So no, this I think will work out perfectly. I think this is going to work out exceptionally well. All right, lots of heat on Lio Rush. And this has been going on for roughly 2 or 3 weeks now. I didn't report it last week because I wanted to get a little bit more insight as to what was going on. If you've noticed, Lio Rush has not been on Raw recently. Basically, Bobby Lashley's been out there doing his own promos, doing his own thing. Well, that's because he's pissed off a lot of people in the back. Rush believes he's a bigger star than what WWE sees him as, and sees him as using as well. Rush has angered a ton of people in the locker room by bringing uncredentialed family members backstage, having his wife sit in on the rehearsals, and having her use the ladies' locker room without the ladies' permission.
Oh.
These are all big no-nos. There are certain unwritten rules and certain things that you do and you don't do as a professional wrestler. These are all things you don't do. Reports are Rush reportedly had a run-in with Finn Balor and Mark Henry, who tried to give him some advice on how to handle these things, and Rush basically blew them off. Also, Rush, it's reported that he was offered a contract extension in the amount of $300,000 per year. WWE is throwing around big money trying to keep superstars from going to AEW. Rush turned them down by saying, "You can double it, and then we can talk."
Wow, making demands.
That's a lot of money, man. So the way this is going to probably work out, Rush is going to most likely be sent back down to NXT, and you're not going to see him for some time. He really pissed off Vince, pissed off a lot of other people as well. Fightful.com is reporting that Ryan Callahan, the lead writer for Monday Night Raw, has been fired by WWE after working for the company for several years.
See ya!
According to the report, the issue that led to his firing had nothing to do with the declining viewership. No. That's not a reason to get fired. There was an issue with David Cooper, who you may remember as Rajan Singh, a.k.a. the Great Khali's manager. It said that Cooper felt that Callahan took creative changes too personally and became difficult to work with, so the decision was made to fire him last Thursday on May 2nd. Now, my issue is Callahan is putting shows together for Monday Night Raw. Vince comes in last second and scraps everything. And that's part of the reason why you have these botchy, herky-jerky promos, because a lot of times guys are given their lines to read moments before they go out there.
Right.
It's very, very messy the way things work out. Carmilla is launching her own wine brand called Capo Cagna, which Carmilla loosely translates to boss bitch in Italian. We'll see how well that works out, and if it's any good, I will taste it and I will tell you. Bill Goldberg is coming back to WWE. He's going to wrestle in Saudi Arabia, where he is reportedly going to win the WWE Championship. Yes, you heard me. Going to win it. Now, all that being said...
What word?
Right.
What?
Now, all that being said, Brock Lesnar, at this point, told Dana White that he's going to retire from MMA. So... my assumption is that he squeezed a massive payday out of Vince because that's Brock Lesnar's MO. And at some point, you're going to get Brock and Bill Goldberg again battling together. And Brock will probably have the WWE Championship, which sucks for all of us. And then you'll hold that hostage because he blows. Rhino, the Michigan native, is leaving WWE after turning down a contract offer that was reportedly double what he was making before. Rhino felt that he wasn't going to do a good enough job helping elevate other guys. He wants to take a step back, and he wants other guys to kind of get more time in the spotlight. And he's going to go on to, I believe it's ICW, and he's going to go wrestle there. Former WWE and TNA star Matt Morgan is the new mayor of Longwood City, which is in Florida. So, hats off to Matt Morgan. And that's this week's news and notes.
Great podcast recording, sir. Want to give credit and thanks to those that support us. Make sure you subscribe and follow and listen the Wrestling Perspective podcast. You can follow Dennis Farrell and Petey Williams. They do a great show. You can follow Dennis on Twitter at Dennis77Farrell. Follow Petey Williams, Impact Wrestling Superstar and Creative Talent, at IPeteWilliams. For all the news and notes regarding their podcast, go visit WrestlingPerspectivePodcast.com. And again, if you're a big fan of wrestling and you just can't get enough, go join the newest Detroit sports headquarters. It's called Flick, and the way to join the hottest new Detroit sports community is go find the Detroit Sports Podcast anywhere on social media and look for the invite link. At this time, currently, it's invite only. And so what that means is, hey, you click on the link, you download the app, and boom, within moments, you're signed up and you're set and ready to chat during Raw, Smackdown, the pay-per-views. It's a great way to interact. It's just like a great Detroit sports forum, a large group chat where Adam, myself, Putty, Adam Salga is always in there doing his thing, talking about and reviewing wrestling. So it's a great way for wrestling fans to connect and really be part of a growing sports community. We really like working with Flick and the growing Detroit sports community there. Invite only at this time. Make sure you find it and join.
Yeah, and guys, you can post whatever you want to post. I mean, we had a discussion about NASCAR the other day. NASCAR. So you can talk Detroit sports, you can talk wrestling, you can talk NASCAR. Whatever it is you guys want to discuss.
You can create your own forum.
Exactly.
So if you have a podcast and you have a wrestling podcast, you can tell everybody what you talked about, what you debated, and you can build engagement that way. That's why I'm so thankful that they reached out and we have an opportunity to work with the great crew over there at Flick. Detroit sports' newest headquarters. Go check out and join the community, Flick. Thanks, everybody. You can follow Adam on Twitter at AdamRSTROZ. Follow the network at Detroit Podcast. We look forward to bringing you the latest edition of the Doc and Jock Wrestling Podcast next week.